Afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our webinar session on getting started with the AI tools built into Lynx Whiteboard. Now, if you're already using Lynx Whiteboard, that's fantastic, and there are some amazing things that we can do within Lynx to help our students' engagement and have a better lesson prep and more interactive lesson materials built into a whiteboard space. We're going to be doing some webinars directly on Lynx Whiteboard later on in 2026, but today's session we're going to be honing in specifically on looking through some of the AI tools that are built into the Pro license of the Lynx Whiteboard space. So let me just share my Lynx Whiteboard screen here. And we're going to be doing everything on my computer here, which is one of the cool things about Lynx Whiteboard is the fact that we can do our Lynx Whiteboard content on our laptop to then be able to share onto our screens when we've logged into our same account. So you might have seen some of these tools floating around here where it says Pro for text and shape and maths. And onto the side here under our content section, our AI assist section, which is our AI spaces here. So what I'm going to start with to look at first is the big one here, which is our generation of presentations built into Lynx. So what these will do is it will help put a framework of a presentation together for your students as a base based on your content that you want to teach. So to do something like that, I would click generate. Oh, thought I got rid of those. Generate some title, an audience, and a description. Now, I've done a lot of playing and testing in this, and I've come up with some things that can help us to be able to help get the most out of this software, and that is to start in with a very strong, clear title here across our title. It works best if it's framed as a question. I've got some examples there, like how do colors show feelings for an art, and how does ancient civilizations influence today? So anywhere from K through to 12, we can use this to create a series of PowerPoint slides that can start as a framework for a presentation on a particular topic. Keep them short and avoid some generic ones like topic 3 fractions or something like that. Keep it very question orientated. Then we move on to this next part here is our audience. I want to show you a demo of this at the end. I've got a demo to copy and paste in and show you. The audience is really important to do this very clearly. Now, I've got a bit of probably an over-the-top version of it, but when we're dealing with AI, the more information that we can give it and repeat that information, the more important it becomes. So I've got your stage, year, area, your subject, your curriculum, what you're working from here. So example here, you've got the early stage 1 kindergarten, English speaking and listening, and then New South Wales curriculum. Or you can go stage 5, year 9, geography, the human well-being, Australian curriculum, or New South Wales curriculum, or the Australian curriculum. Whatever curriculum you're working for, it's available within our AI language bot to be able to then pull that information out. And the last one is a purposeful description, making sure that you don't want to put too much in here because it doesn't quite, you can't put this on slide 1, this on slide 2, this on slide 3. It's about making sure that we are just following some broad outlines of what we want this lesson to cover. So we're learning focus. What are we going to be? What's the concept or questions we're exploring? Process and a curriculum link built into that description. And some examples of that would be here on my screen here. You can have a look at. So you can look at the primary one, two secondary ones there. So explore how plants depend on their environment to stay alive and grow. Through a hands-on experiment, they observe how sunlight, water, and air affect growth and predict what happens when one need is missing. And it supports New South Wales Technology Outcome, ST2-10LW, focus on how living things depend on their environment. So I've got the curriculum, I've got what we're doing, what I want that presentation to be about. And when I put this one here, I want to use that top one as an example now. When I've got it, I've got my questions here. So I've got my title, how do plants depend on their environment to stay alive and grow? I'm going to paste that one into there. I'm going to put my audience into here. And I've got that description that I had before that I want to paste into here. Then what I want to do is I'm going to choose what pages I would like to put into my presentation. I'd always like to start with a title page. We can do an outline, which kind of goes through what have we learned in this lesson. We can do a couple of content pages, a diagram page. We only can do 10, as it says there. I might put a summary of what we've learned on this content here. And let's put an assignment down and a quiz. Let's do that. Now we can't drag the orders around. You know what? I would like to put a quiz first, which is just a couple of multi-choice questions, and then click generate. Now I can see across the bottom here, my blue bar is thinking strongly about what's happening here. And then what we're going to do now is that's going to slowly generate through. And it's going to populate directly into our presentation. Just let that go there. Probably shouldn't have chosen 9 pages. There we go. I'm just going to close that away. We can see how plants depend on their environment. Now it's tried to be helpful to say it's for young learners. So it's picked up that grade level reasonably well. It's got the outline of what our plant needs are that we're going to talk about here. And then we're going to flick through the role of sunlight in growth. So that was talked about the importance of sunlight, taking that curriculum information and how I focused that learning there. It pulls in pictures where it can. Now being AI, it doesn't necessarily pick the right picture. It picks it most of the time, but it's also, I always like to use the 70-30% when we're dealing with AI. It can do 70%. I still have to do 30% here. So I can grab all of these and I come along and edit the text if I wanted to. I can change a point, I can delete a point, I can move the points around, I can drag different pictures into the presentation if I want to. But as I said, this is just a base of the presentation that we can start with. We've got the water is essential for life. And then we've got air and the impact on plants, which is a cool little presentation picture there that we can put into here. And as we go through the summary of what we just went through in that presentation, a quiz now doesn't always put our quiz not neatly like this, but as I said, we can come in, we can edit this, we can put a space into that, and we can put another space into that, and we can slowly start editing it out. And we can use the class overlay quiz tool, voting tool on our Clever Touch boards to use the ABC there as well as a way of learning. And then we got our assignment where it's come up with there with our content. Now, all of that came from those prompts, and it may not fit exactly what you would like, but it's given you a really good base to start with. Now, other parts that we have into our presentation here is we do have our AI text tool, and this is under our pens. You may have seen text and shapes and our math tool here. I'm going to start with our text option here. Now, when we're writing on our screen, we can use this on our board, and what it does do is it takes what we're writing, and when I pause for long enough, it'll turn that into a nice text. Now, under the settings menu on the side over here, if I go to my options, and I can show you later on, if I go to my font at the top here, I can adjust what font by default I want my pen to be. So I might grab this one here for now. This is what I want my automatic pen to be using. So next time here, I'm using my there we go here. Give it a second. So when I pause, it's taken that new font that I've done there as well. You can also do some basic text shape recognition. And so if I'm drawing a shape in this space here, converts it up. Now, if I go a bit of an obscure shape like that, it'll attempt where possible to be able to match the shape that I'm trying to draw. Now, on the next one, on those other pen tools that we have, is we do have our maths pen tool available here. Now, what that does here is if I started right on the board here, 3 + 7 =, what it will do is it will convert that, and where possible, it will, when I flick back to my pen selection tool here, it'll do the answer for us where possible here. And so I can go a little bit more complex. I can go 3² plus 42 to the power of 3 equals. Now, once again, it pauses. It comes along and it tries to give a definitive answer where possible there. Now, sometimes if it's a long decimal point, it will truncate that at a couple of dot points there to be able to round up, and so it gives you that approximate answer there. Now, I can also use this particular tool if I wanted to clean up some maths. So if I can go 3a plus 4c over the top of x, for example, here, go along, and it cleans up my maths to make a nice example. And when I've done that, though, I can select my tool option, and I can shrink that and move that maths problem as an example around the board. Now, moving on to some of the other tools, we do have a image generation option built into here, which is really good. So if I come back over into my media side here, I can generate an image. Now I can generate an image whatever I would like. So I can go, let's go a dog juggling while riding a unicycle. Now this has been specifically done to be school friendly. It will only give you one image, and it won't generate ultra realistic images as well. Now it has really good guardrails built onto that, which means it won't go outside and you've got very limitations of what you can do. So this has done a fairly good job, but when I bring in and drag in, we can still see that it doesn't look super realistic. I can do another one of let's have a look at a duck swimming in and a pond. Now, when we're doing AI images, it's never going to be exactly what we want. The more details we put into here, the closer we're going to get to what we want in that particular scenario. But it's a great way of, there we go. See how this one here, I drag that on and make this a little bit bigger here. We can see how that has that kind of drawn 3D effect about that one. But it's a great way of, in the middle of the class, exploring that concept of AI images in an incredibly safe space, but it can be part of your whiteboarding as well. So you can just literally open this tool up, generate an image, and drag that directly into the presentation that you're working on with your students. Now, the next one that I have on here that I was going to talk about is our text generator. And this is great if you wanted to some quick text to put on a screen, like I can create a list of things or I can create a paragraph of things. So let me let's create a paragraph. Let's create a paragraph about let's go the history of domestication of dogs. So I can generate that. Now this will only ever generate one paragraph. So you can bring this into here, give it a nice long one, and I can click insert. And now I have my paragraph sitting inside my presentation now to work with. Now this is great if I wanted to have a bit of text for the kids to look at and analyze. Now, bearing in mind that this is an AI generated text and it will write exactly what you ask it to do. So if you wanted to write about the health benefits of coffee for a year 2 student, it will generate you a paragraph on that. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's it's just text based on what our subject was. Now here's where we get really cool with our AI tools within Lynx Whiteboard. As you've noticed where I've been selecting things, so if I go back a little bit further, let's go to this one here, or this text here, I've had this image pop up. This, and I click on here, I've got AI tools that I can pop up. Like this one here, I've got AI tools popping up here. So that little option will probably appear everywhere. Now I'm just going to duplicate this just for the sake of showing you what's happening. So I want to put this one here off to the side a little bit. Oh, not that one. Let me push this one here. There we go. I'm going to make that a bit smaller and pop that up there. And let me just bring this back along. There we go. So I have my domestication of dog text that I generated before. And under my AI options, I now have some options here. I can convert this to a list. I can convert it to a paragraph again, which is already a paragraph. But if I just had a sentence, I could convert that sentence to a paragraph. as it goes. But if I go rewrite, I have a lot of options here. I can rewrite and convert to a different language. So I can convert this to Spanish. And if I go generate, you'll see why in a minute why I duplicated the text. So I have my original version and now I have my Spanish version on the fly, which is really good for ESL. Now you could do this just for a single word as well. If you're doing an ESL subject or you're doing another language as a subject there, you could do that. So I'm going to do that there. Now I'm going to delete that one. And I'm going to show you something else we can do this. And I'm going to duplicate this, bring this over to here. Instead of doing it as Spanish, I could write this as a 3-paragraph essay at a year 8 level. So now I'm getting into my AI text space to be a little bit more specific with what I want. Now I've asked it to do a 10-paragraph thing before and it's pushed out a massive 10-paragraph document. So now we can got our 3 paragraphs and we're converting and expanding our text out at a year 8 level. Now, if I was going to do this one here, let's go as a year 12 level now. This is our text and I go generate. It's adjusted our language to be a much higher level in that particular space. Now you can convert this to an epic mythical poem if I wanted to instead. So it's taking whatever I have selected and converting it to an epic mythical poem. Now, why I've got this running in the background, if I'm grabbed my other set of text, I'm going to put this one over to here, my other set of text here, which is just my domestication of dogs text, my paragraph that I made. If I click show my AI options, under media, I have an option to do image search. What it does do is it's going to do an image search based on the text that I selected. I have a thing I know what's going on in that one there. It's grabbing my text that I had selected under here. Let me wipe that out for you. Yeah, I'm going to close that down. I'm going to close my window down. I'm going to open that and I'm going to go media and I'm going to go in image search. Now, it should bring in some other things. Now, this is the lovely things about doing AI searches as we go. It doesn't necessarily always come the way we want it. So now we've got some video searches that are dogs. It's done it right this time. Let me try that again. Let's see if it's going to bring our video image search up. It's probably looking at something to do with like human societies or something like that. And so it doesn't always work. And this is the thing with AI. You've got to be able to use the tools you're comfortable with on the fly, generate image here. I could copy this whole text in if I wanted to, and it will try to create an image from that. So if I generate that, while that's loading, we can see our epic poem sitting down the side here as we're going. Now you can have a lot of fun with that one here. While that's loading there, I'll show you one that I worked on before, a bit of fun. All right, I had a thing about a satire about keep drinking coffee for year 3 students happening. There's an entire story there. There's our AI image about a domestication of dogs there. So I could bring this across and drag that into here like this. And then I've got my image there. Now it's trying to do some text. It doesn't always do text that very well with the model that they're using. Now, if I really wanted to make a better picture of that, I would clone my text, get rid of that one there. I would go convert to a paragraph. Oh, no, I don't want to convert it to a paragraph. Here it is, a paragraph. Let me do that again. I want to duplicate this. I'm going to go rewrite instead, rewrite as a image prompt. So it'll take the core of what it is and taken the core element of that to be able to then media generate image, and I would get an image based on the paragraph. Now, this doesn't have to be done using a AI generated piece of text. I could drag and copy and paste some text into my presentation that I'm already using, and there we go there. You can see here that it's trying to do some text here with whatever that is. But it's AI imaging. It's what I like to say is this is the worst that it's ever going to be when it comes to our education space. It's only going to get better and better and help within our particular spaces there. Now, that's the end of our, sorry, I just lost my train of thought there for a minute. So we've gone through our three tools here, and I'll jump back up to the top here and go to the very top. There's our presentation popped into here. We're going to start, we've started with our presentation tools. So we've got our ability to be, I'm just going to try to drag this out of the way. Bring this down to, let me do it anyway. We've got our generate presentation spaces where we can create a presentation on the fly to be able to create a base presentation to be able to edit and work through with whatever topic we're looking at. Then we had a look at our AI text tool, which when you pause for a certain amount of time, it'll convert it to text. Now that's really, it does a really good job in that particular space in the fact that you can write reasonably messy and it's still, you may have to be able to then go back and fix a word or two up afterwards, but it gives you fully editable text to work with. We do have our maths AI tool, which will convert our maths problems into solvable problems if there's a definitive answer, or be able to adjust into nice neat spaces there. We do have our image generation where we can write a prompt in and get an image on the fly in our classroom. It is safe and it has guardrails over it. And then we have our text where we can generate some text. We can convert that text into paragraphs, into poems. We can convert it into a list if we wanted to. We can adjust it to the different level of class that we're working with. So if we have a piece of text and we want to convert it down or convert it up to make it easier to read, it will do that as well. There's a lot to playing in there. If you don't have any pro licenses available at your school, please reach out to us and we'll be able to help you out with attaining some pro licenses for you to play with. Now the advantages is with a pro license, you can switch pro licenses between users as well. So if you had 5 pro licenses for your school, you can switch that between a number of users to test that out using the organizational settings as well. So thank you very much for attending our webinar on the AI tools within Lynx Whiteboard. I hope you've learned something new and are ready to try something that you may not have tried before within our Lynx Whiteboard space. This video will be available later on. Will be available on the Facebook support page that we have and also on our portal page as well to review later on. So thank you very much for coming and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.